Surrealism began as a literary movement in France in the 1920s. It emerged from the artistic movement Dadaism and is considered to be primarily influenced by Dada, Cubist, and Expressionist art.
In 1924, André Breton wrote the Surrealist Manifesto and provided the first definition of Surrealism. He proposed that artists should attempt to access the unconscious mind to inspire their art.
Dadaism and Surrealism both emerged at the end of World War I and shared the characteristics of reacting to the new political climates and challenged traditional representations of reality. Breton and the Surrealists broke away from Dadaism with the mission of returning meaning to art.
Much of the Surrealist movement was based on a simplistic understanding of the writings of Sigmund Freud. In his work, The Interpretation of Dreams, he theorized about the meaning of dreams and how the unconscious mind surfaces in them. Known as the father of American psychology, William James theorized about the flow or stream of consciousness in his book, The Principles of Psychology. These ideas heavily influenced the Surrealist movement in both process and content.
Surrealism started as a literary movement based primarily in poetry. One surrealist poetic process was to write continuously whatever entered the conscious mind. Other processes included recounting dreams or creating a dreamlike story. These methods were later applied to visual surrealist art. Surrealist art was made in the mediums of literature, film, drawings, paintings, sculpture, collage, photography, and more, and much of the art was centered on producing fantastic imagery with unnatural juxtaposition. Some examples of imagery unique to surrealism include levitation, distortion of scale, object transparency, repetition of patterns, symbols, or words, juxtaposition, and obscuring part of the image. One essential and identifying motive of surrealist art was using visual obscurities to comment on and make sense of the world around them. Surrealist art reflected on World War I and the Great Depression and used unrealistic and dreamy imagery to convey the chaos, confusion, and irrationality of the time. Surrealism was also conceptually rooted in the importance of dreams and the unconscious. Surrealists placed much emphasis on spontaneous writing and art and believed that the truest art was created in the unconscious mind. The goal was to tap into thoughts and imagery not available in the tangible world.
Although Surrealism allowed for many different media, most Surrealist artists oppose the idea of surreal music because it does not make tangible the realm of dreams and the unconscious. This changed when André Breton wrote Silence is Golden. He accepted music as a medium because he thought the process of composition transcended the boundaries between the conscious and unconscious mind. The work of John Cage embodies many of the ideas and processes of Surrealism. Cage created compositions that drew attention to the difference between what exists and what is perceived.
There were several influential artists that carried the Surrealist movement and gave it a place in history. Among these names are Salvador Dali, Max Ernst, Joan Miro, René Magritte, Man Ray, and more. René Magritte was a Surrealist artist who did a lot of work with repeated symbols and the combination of text and images. While many French Surrealists experimented with new techniques, Magritte stuck with a traditional style with detailed and realistic imagery that often resulted in a powerful paradox. His images are beautiful in their clarity and simplicity and appear to be quite obvious, yet are also strange and provoke unsettling thought. The Treachery of Images is one of Magritte's most famous masterpieces. It represents a reaction against logic and rationalism by challenging the practice of identifying an image of something as the thing itself. It also wonders about the misunderstandings that lurk in language. Max Ernst is another artist who helped shape Surrealism. In this piece, Everything is Still Floating, he sought to express the insanity of World War I and question the sensibilities of the upper middle class with random and illogical object pairings. The medium of collage adds to the sense of chaos and futility in the piece. Salvador Dali was one of the most important Surrealist artists. In his most famous piece, The Persistence of Memory, Dali urges the viewer to question the notion of absolute reality. He says reality is actually a dream, and time is not concrete, but rather something subjective in the mind of the observer. Geopoliticus Child Watching the Birth of the New Man is a commentary on the way the world was changing after World War I. The man is emerging from the egg where the U.S. is to show the importance of the new nation, while the Geopoliticus Child, representative of the new ways, hides behind the woman, representative of the old ways. Dali's painting Le Sommeil, the drooping disembodied head, portrays the feeling of falling asleep and the isolation of sleep. It is held up by the crutches which show weakness or handicap as well as support, symbolic of the vulnerability of the dream state and the strength of the unconscious. Surrealism had a lasting impact on the world of art and had a direct influence on social movements like feminism as well as art movements like abstract expressionism and pop art. Abstract expressionists played with the same psychic automatism as surrealists, yet moved increasingly towards a reductive and non-representational style. Pop art took much inspiration from surrealism regarding fusing art and culture and using the media as a tool to create art.